For no reason at all, I've decided to go over the scariest movies I've ever watched and ones that like genuinely unsettled me. But I'm not gonna do shitty movies. I'm gonna do movies that I actually think are really good and that you should watch if you're into horror movies. But it's the kind of horror movies where like you can't just put it on in front of a random person who's not like into being scared, because they will get really disturbed and very upset and they'll think that something's wrong with you. Okay, so my background is no background, no qualifications. I just think these movies are really good. Number one, it's called Mad God. It's a stop motion animation. I think that's what the name is when like they make the figurines. It took like 10 years or something, like 10-15 years. It's so disturbing. It's literally, there's no dialogue. It's just little guys in this gross universe. Pop an edible. Put that on. If you're into like scary movies, that's a good night. It's so disturbing, like in a way that it's not like gory or anything. It is, but it's mostly like gross, really esoteric. If you get into this movie, it's kind of like Skinamarink. If you get into it, you will have a fun time. Like, but it's on this list for a reason, and the reason is I'm not just gonna pop that on at any point. Like, that's when I'm gonna have to like work myself up for. But if you can enjoy it, it's a work of art for sure. And the guy who did the like practical effects was the same guy that did the Star Wars ones, I think. So it's just really impressive, work of art. I never hear anyone talking about it. It's fucking scary. Okay, my second one, it's called Eyes of My Mother, and it's like a girl movie. It's about like, it's a girl and she's coming of age, and it's entirely black and white, and it has heavy themes in there, but it's fucked up, but it's so gorgeous. And it's like lace, and it's like she's terrifying but she's beautiful, and like it's really poetic and really feminine, but very, very scary. I finished this and I was like sitting in silence, like pondering. But it's really, really beautiful, and it's like, it's a very good movie, but it's brutal. And it's not even like, it's just the concept. If I've intrigued you, if you're into scary movies, I've intrigued you with this, and you're probably gonna go watch it. You should. My number three is actually one of my favorite movies in the entire world, and I've heard like a little bit of people talking about it, but we need an entire fan base for this movie because it's so good and no one ever says how good it is. It's called Mandy, starring Nicolas Cage, and director, I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's like Cosmo. Anyway, he did a bunch of other movies too that are also horror movies. Color Out of Space, another one. That one's also really good. Not as scary as Mandy. But anyway, it's this fucked up, fucking crazy. It's like if you took the essence of like what makes other thrillers, like their thriller vibe, and like whatever you inject into like kind of a lame movie to make it a thriller, Mandy is like the essence of everything that makes a thriller, but it's the whole, that like it's just the thriller part. It's so like, once you watch Mandy, every other movie sucks because it's like go scary, go like visuals, acting, music, graphic design, go, like it's literally like insane. I think this director is literally a genius for this movie. I love everything about it. I literally am a Nicolas Cage defender, and you should watch that movie if you haven't seen it and you like horror movies. There's a scene where there's a chainsaw fight, and one guy pulls out a chainsaw to fight the other guy, and the other guy pulls out another chainsaw that is like 5 times, maybe not 5, like 3 times the size of a regular chainsaw. So that's kind of the gist. Also, I'm gonna throw this in really quick. It's not part of the list, but can we give Bones and All the credit for being fucking really scary? And it's beautiful, so no one like says it's scary. That movie is unsettling and terrifying. So my number 4, I actually don't think that people should watch. Actually, I don't know. I'm not the one to tell people to not watch it, but it's so terrifying. It's not in the traditional sense. It's called Mysterious Skin with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as the main actor. And you've probably seen like edits of it, you know, profile pictures of it, because it's a really like visually like stunning movie. Like Joseph Gordon-Levitt looks stunning in it. But the movie is like the most disturbing movie I've ever seen. It's fucked up. I don't even know if I recommend people watch it because it's traumatizing. Like, look up the warnings before you watch it. But like, that is a fucked up scary movie. It's really, 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 really scary. Like, I don't even know, it's not even like a horror concept. It's like I was chilled to my bone. Okay, next. This one doesn't really like match up to the other ones. Like anything after the ones I just recommended are not as good of movies in my opinion, but they're still very scary. Okay, Speak No Evil. That one fucked with me bad, but it also made me really happy because in that situation I would never do that because I'm like, okay, bye. You know, like I'm just like, okay, bye. Like I'm not going to stay because I'm smart. Next one, The Descent. That one really fucked with me too. I don't like caves. I'm claustrophobic. And it is a movie about a bunch of girlies that get stuck in a cave. And that is a situation that I would be in because I get put in fucked up situations. Don't go in a cave. Especially after you see this movie, I won't have to tell you that. This is the last one. I think I have too many kind of like mid-grade scary horror movies to like say. So I can't even keep going on that tangent. But my last one, I'm gonna say Climax. It's literally my worst fear. Like, I don't even know where to begin with how terrible that would be for me. They're all of these really talented, like really insane, flexible, talented dancers that get stuck in a liminal space and their punch got spiked with LSD and they're totally fucked. And it gripped me. It's such a good movie, but it's really, really scary. I hope you enjoyed my list.
Here are some of the best horror movies that you can watch on Netflix right now. Before we get into it, make sure you guys click that follow button for all things horror and spooky. First up, I have Lights Out. This movie was genuinely terrifying. If you have a fear of the darkness, this movie will definitely rattle you. I gave this one a 9 out of 10. The opening scene in this one still sticks with me to this day. This is a definite must-watch. Next up is The Silence. If you guys love the movies A Quiet Place, this one is very similar to those films. Stanley Tucci does an amazing performance as well as the entire cast. I'll go ahead and give this one a 7.5 out of 10, but it wasn't crazy original just because, again, it takes after A Quiet Place films, but it's definitely entertaining. My number one horror recommendation on Netflix right now is Eli. This movie threw me. This movie has an insane plot twist at the end, and it also has the mom in The Conjuring in it, who is Lily Taylor. I love that actress. This movie was wild. Oh, and it also stars Sadie Sink. So it's about this boy that has a disease and he has to stay inside of a suit all day long. Otherwise, he'll expose the disease to everybody else. But the plot twist was just wild. I love this movie. This was a 10 out of 10. Another incredible horror movie favorite of mine is It Follows, starring Micah Monroe. This is about basically an evil STD that follows you, and you have to sleep with somebody in order to give it away. It's just so insanely scary. I don't care what anybody says. 10 out of 10. The music, atmosphere, the original concept. If you liked Smile, you will love It Follows. And we have Brightburn. This has been a very popular movie, and within the last year or so, this movie is epic as fuck. You will love this one. Definitely put this on your top 5 to watch. If you guys would like more movie recommendations, click that like button, leave a comment, and let me know your favorite horror movies in the comments. Boo.
Alright, here are some movies that have scared the shit out of me and I will never stop recommending them. But be warned, because some of these movies are very violent, very creepy, and just overall like, what the fuck am I watching type of films. But as always, let's just fucking jump right into it. First up, let's talk about the movie Baskin. This is a 2015 Turkish horror film about 5 policemen who are responding to a distress call coming from an abandoned building. And when they get to the abandoned building, they go inside, and the more that they inspect this building, the more they realize they're entering the literal mouth of hell. The reason this movie freaked me out so much was its overall visuals, but honestly, like, the third act is just so, like, disturbing, and it just makes me feel really gross and weird inside. Like, this movie, I'm not gonna lie, did give me nightmares for a few nights after watching it. If you would like to check this one out, here's the list of where it's currently streaming. Next up, let's talk about The Sadness. This is a Taiwanese horror film about a virus that breaks out, and this virus basically causes people to act out on their most intrusive and, like, violent thoughts. This movie follows a couple who are trying to reunite amongst the fucking mayhem that's going on. The reason that this movie freaked me out was mainly this dude on the very top. Like, he just freaked me the fuck out. This guy just gave me really creepy and, like, pervy vibes, and he has this, like, maniacal laugh that just, like, really freaked me out. Like, I would not want to be chased by this dude, like, whatsoever. Trigger warning though, there is an essay scene, and all I'm gonna say is it involves an eye socket. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But also be warned, this movie is extremely bloody and extremely gory. It's honestly one of the most goriest films that I've seen. And if you'd like to check this one out, here's the list of where this one is currently streaming. Next up is the movie The Similars. This is a Mexican horror film about a group of people in the 1960s who get stuck at a bus station during a horrible freak rainstorm. One by one, each person falls victim to a very unusual seizure, and when they come out of the seizure, they all have the same face of one man that's at the bus station. And they all start to notice that even, like, on the magazines and posters at the bus station, all the people on it have the same face of this man. The reason this movie freaked me out so much was because it's very, like, Twilight Zone-y. Like, things are happening in this movie that should not be happening, but they are happening. And it's just very, like, what the fuck? You could almost categorize this movie as a cosmic horror film, which is, like, my favorite subgenre of horror. I guess you can kind of say this really does freak me out because it's kind of like the fear of the unknown. Like, we don't know why this shit's going down, but it's going down. If you would like to check this one out, here's where this one is currently streaming. And as always, if you guys have seen any of these movies, please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments.